We've talked about the 3 weeks and the prohibitions that start from the 17th of Tammuz all the way through Tisha B'av. And they have to do with marriage and haircutting, etc. Then we spoke about Mishenichnas Av. There's a second level. Mishenichnas Av, there's a problem with simcha of any kind. And there's an issue with the mazal, with the fortune, good fortune or bad fortune, that might befall Am Yisrael. But there's a third time within those 3 weeks. And that time is Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av. The time from the Shabbat before Tisha B'av until Tisha B'av. That's called Shavua Shechal Bo, the week of Tisha B'av. And this week is spoken about separately in the Gemara, of course, and in the Shulchan Aruch. The Mechaber in Seif Gimel says, Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av Asurim, and then he goes through a whole list of things that you don't do on the Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av. You can't cut your hair, you can't wash your clothes. Wash your clothes even if you don't want to wear them right now, but you want to leave them in the closet until after Tisha B'av. You can't even wear clothing that has been washed previously, and etc., etc. Now, before we explain the various prohibitions of the Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av, we have to understand, and this is in the Ramah. The Ramah in Seif Gimel, the Ramah says, "Anu noagim lachmir b'kol zeh mitchilat Rosh Chodesh ad achar ta'anit." We Ashkenazim, we the followers of the Ramah, we understand that we turn Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av into the time from Rosh Chodesh until Tisha B'av every year. Because after all, it may be, I can't tell you that this is the reason, but the Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av is a variable amount of time, whereas the time from Rosh Chodesh till Tisha B'av is always the same. How do I mean variable? Well, take this year, for example. Tisha B'av is Sunday, which means that between the Shabbat before Tisha B'av and Tisha B'av, there's no time at all, which means that all of these prohibitions simply do not take effect this year. And if you asked one of your friends from the Eidot Mizrach, a Jew who follows the minhagim of the Eidot of the Mizrach, of the Oriental communities, he will tell you that this year there is no Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av. Ashkenazim must have found that disorienting somehow. Some years you did have it, some years you didn't have it. So the Ramah says, we've made everything that the Gemara talks about and the Shulchan Aruch talks about, Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av, we've made it into from Rosh Chodesh. We start from Rosh Chodesh, so that the prohibition of kvisa, of washing your clothing, is a prohibition that exists from Rosh Chodesh. For us, for the Ashkenazim, the prohibition to wear washed garments is a prohibition that exists from Rosh Chodesh. That means for us, from the day after this coming Shabbat. Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh. Monday is the second day of Av. That's when we begin. That's where we begin the prohibitions listed in the Shulchan Aruch as Shavua Shechal Bo Tisha B'av prohibitions. One of the major prohibitions has to do with washing your clothes and preparing them in the way we do all year long. And the other prohibition, for example, the other prohibition is that we don't usually eat meat during this time, even though there are certain exclusions. So Ashkenazim don't wash their clothes, don't eat meat from Rosh Chodesh Av until after Tisha B'av. Sfaradim, not Nusach Sfarad, not Hasidim, But Sfaradim, Eidot HaMizrach, they wash their clothes, they eat meat. They only accept those prohibitions during the week of Tisha B'av, which this year does not really exist. That's the innovation of the Ramah, which is quoted in the Ramah, which was accepted in all the Ashkenazic countries for the time from Rosh Chodesh Av until Tisha B'av.